You're listening to the Precision Shooting Podcast, discussing all aspects of precision and long-range rifle shooting. This episode is brought to you by Impact Dynamics. And now, over to your hosts.
Well, hello and welcome to the Precision Shooting Podcast. We are here tonight with, Bronte's joined us again. How are you, Bronte?
Yeah, well, and yourself, Rusty?
Good, mate. Good. And over there is Andy. How are you, mate?
I'm good.
He's getting old Doppler effect with the microphone. Well done, mate. You've got some life to you.
Skills.
Paying some bills, man. All right, awesome. Well, how we been, gentlemen? Going all right?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Kicking along.
Yeah. Good. Okay. Exciting, Bronte.
I guess.
Yeah, you've been busy with work, mate. So it's good to have you back for a show.
Yeah, good. Did get actually a new toy though, obviously with the 10 Voglio, which has worked out all right.
Oh, we're going to tell us more. Tell us more.
Yeah, so I obviously had the M&P and it's definitely the gun. It was absolutely rubbish. Couldn't hit anything at all. It was just nothing to do with my useless abilities with the pistol.
What was that in? 9
mil as well, and
Okay.
then 10 Fog popped up at a pretty good deal.
Oh.
So it was just didn't need it, but bought it.
So it was a gun then.
Yeah, basically.
When I did need it.
Yeah, but since having it, I'm very, very, very happy with it. Like actually hit targets with it now rather than just shoot adjacent to them.
It's a novelty.
Yeah, when your metallic silhouette score triples.
Oh, really?
You're like, okay,
Yeah, right.
maybe I wasn't completely useless. Maybe the gun wasn't as good as I thought it was.
Yeah, right.
So that's been pretty cool.
Interesting. While we're talking precision handgun shooting, Andy, what's your latest with your handguns, mate?
Far from precision. I haven't shot it yet, actually.
What'd you end up buying?
It's a Shooter's Arms Elite Match 9mm 1911 frame.
Disappointed with the lack of yeet cannons going around this current room, but anyway, okay.
Well, but can you even get them in Australia?
I don't know, mate.
Still no excuse though.
Still no excuse. Yeah, you can import guns on the one-off. You can get them. Maybe we should do that. Collective yeet cannon. Which will become relevant a little bit later tonight. We'll discuss that. But I shot a match and it didn't go well. And I made a video about how bad it went, actually, because I thought, I've had excuses for not shooting, and I've had excuses for not shooting well, and all these sort of things. And I thought, you know what, I should just actually own up to them and say, well, excuses are pretty crappy, really, and you should either be doing something to work on them or just quit.
Hey, don't reveal our secrets. Excuses are key.
I'm excuses. Yeah, I have ruined my entire potential for not getting any better. So, yeah, I've done all sorts of things as I put in the video. Not to hash over that too much, but it was actually really good. I filmed that one just sitting in the room by myself and just like talking about. I think that I actually filmed for about 45 minutes and turned it into about 10-minute video because. He just talked about watch myself shoot and just like, oh man, I'm so gutted with my performance.
It's like, damn, I got to really think of a better excuse of why I did that wrong.
Yeah. But it was I actually shot okay. Like my the way I pulled the trigger and all that, like those things weren't bad. They weren't great. I hadn't shot lots and lots, and so they could be a bit better. They can always be a bit better, but. I suffered on some key pointers.
Yep.
One being what I had always blamed it as my back. My back being not great, which is very true. But often it's been okay. It's been feeling great, and then I'll shoot a freestanding stage, and I'm getting all this pain. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to really be tuned into to what happens if that presents itself at the match. There were 2 entire stages that were all off the shoulder. So I shot the first one, and you can actually see in the video of me shooting it where I am, I'm stretching out, and I do not look happy.
Yep.
And I remember it I started hitting targets, bang, ding, 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 and then miss, ding, miss, just getting worse. And so I'm like, all right, well, what am I feeling? And it was all shoulders.
Oh, right.
It was all shoulders. I'm like, well, that's something I haven't tackled before. I've just been, I've got a bad back. Yeah, it's going to happen. I'm not going to be able to do very well on these. And just accepting it for what it is rather than going, all right, what's the problem? Can I fix the problem? So I booked in for a physio and I'm going to go say, hey, my shoulders hurt when I do this. Can you help me? And we will see. we'll see. If they come back and say, no, you're ruined, then okay. That's just something you have to overcome, because the first one of that match I shot freestanding, I shot and I still got a reasonable, I think I got 8 out of 10. But everyone except one other guy in my squad got 10.
Yep.
And it was all based on time, and I timed out. So, and they were doing it in like 40 to 50 seconds, and it was 90 seconds all up, and I timed out and only got 8. So unlimited rounds. So, obviously it was a big factor. And then, so the second one, I just did nothing. So I got 0 for that stage, which is, when you don't shoot around for the stage, it's generally going to be a 0.
That's
which, I made the decision, but I was hurting for 4 or 5 days afterwards. So from 90 seconds. So no excuses. This is so I booked myself into the physio. So that happens in a couple of days, and hopefully,
well, you'll get some hopefully some good exercises and a way to strengthen and
so
Get you into the Pilates.
Whatever I need to do, I'm in. I'll do it. So that was one, and then my stage prep was shocking. Absolutely shocking. So going to work actively on that rather than just like being like, yeah, it was.
Yep.
And then moving on. I could have said, oh, no, like I had a guy come out to check out a gun to buy. So I was off for a while for 15, 20 minutes with him, and I was helping out some new shit. Yeah. I've got all these reasons as to why, but at the end of the day, they don't help me improve my score.
Yep. So I know how you feel with the still slam. I definitely struggled on that one.
Yeah. What was key there for you?
Oh, I think it was just definitely being out of practice, out of the loop, out of the mental game for quite a while. Your thought process is all over the place, and it's crazy how it does affect you, and you just it was just shocking, and like same sort of thing looking back, and I was like, thinking back on the stages, why did I do that? Like normally I wouldn't have an issue with that sort of stage or that array of targets or sequence of targets. But you just everything threw me. But,
well, I was very thankful and very conscious of it. I filmed myself because we had talked about, I'd done a video about putting a razor onto my 22 for some reason, and I'm like, okay, well, I'll film. And the intention was, I said to Josh, who's doing video with me, I said, man, I'm going to film it, and then that way you can do a little montage at the end of this video, so so carry on. So I'm like, all right, well, obviously I can't film myself overly amazingly. I'll just put the camera on a tripod and record. So I recorded virtually every stage I shot, except one, and then the one I didn't shoot, of course. And so I then had this analysis of my shooting, and when the match didn't go very well, I'm like, well, fortunately enough, I can work out why, because I can go back and watch the video.
Well, was it Michael Jordan who watched himself back play and,
I suspect many people do, but Michael Jordan probably would have done it in slow motion. Yeah, how committed he was, but it was very useful. I tell you what, it was very useful. I mean, I've talked about it, and I know that it's one of those things like head knowledge and training people. Like you film them, you show it back to them, they're like, yeah, cool, and that's really important to do. And I've always been an advocate for filming yourself. Have I done it for myself very often? No. Not consciously. Obviously, I've been filmed a lot when I shoot, but not consciously then sitting and watching it and going, yeah, that wasn't great. That wasn't great. That could be better. I did that well.
Reviewing it.
Yep. Yeah. Actually spending that. So, Bronte, we have to get you out shooting a match again. It's been a while for you, hasn't it?
Yeah. It has been quite some time, to be honest.
Is there any level of like hesitation of going back into it at all? Or you just,
I sucked beforehand. I'll suck after. It doesn't change anything. So whatever. Yeah. No, not too fussed from that side. It's just been a time thing, and then you sort of have time, then you don't have ammo, then you're like, oh, that's not going to work very well.
Yep.
And then,
have you got a 223? You're going to jump into the 223 bandwagon for the?
I got a 204, but. Don't 223. Nah.
Good club option.
Actually, we're noticing more and more guys at the club are picking up 223s.
It's literally go buy factory ammo and pretty good factory ammo as well. Stuff and the ADI was all really good factory ammo
for less than $1 a round.
It's
beats reloading.
I probably will end up with one eventually, but it's not in the immediate plans. I'd rather just get the ones I've got. Working again.
Oh, speaking of which, I have sold a bunch of guns, which is the plan to. I've ordered my impact action for my 223. That is on order. I don't know when I'll see it, but I've ordered it, and I've sold about 7 or 8 guns. I think I've got 1 or 2, maybe 3 guns left to
right.
move on to try and do this whole conversion and fund the reloading room, which we'll talk about in future. But I have moved on a bunch to some hopefully happy new homes, so people will use them a bit more than I did, and really bringing that collection down to the ones that I can use on a regular basis.
Did you leave any special notes for anyone, like carved in on the inside of a stock or something?
Only
like
the one I sold you, mate.
Oh, okay.
Just
I haven't found that yet.
Don't pull the stock apart. Okay. No, I haven't. Not to people who are expecting them to grab themselves a good gun.
Yep.
Hopefully they get themselves a good gun. So it was a good. I did get a couple of listeners that email in not knowing I was selling. It was my gun, and they'd reply back to them and like, oh man. Cheers for the podcast. Okay, cool. No discount. Unless they're Patreons, maybe. Anyway, it was good. And I think shout out to Nick Ignition, Steve as well, who helped me send guns all around the country. So that's been useful. That's been something that's been going on. So
nice.
Further developments. But we have some other developments to talk about. I don't know if you guys remember, but about a year ago, a bit under a year ago, we finished the year off
pre-COVID.
Pre-COVID, as well. Late last year, we finished off the year by putting out the Golden Yeets.
Yes,
and it is time to do that again, or it's getting time to do that again. We are planning that. End of November or early December, we'll get a date for it, and we're going to do another live stream. Andy, you're going to be away, but you might even be able to dial in and join us.
Yep, we'll figure something out.
We'll make something work. We're going to do a full live stream of it, so you guys can watch when we're doing it, and we'll get the dates and stuff out. But the Golden Yeets will be back. We'll be giving out awards, whether people want them or not.
It's pretty prestigious. It's got gold in that. How can it be bad?
It's very badly photoshopped gold. Yes.
I've hung mine on the wall, I reckon.
That's right. You did pick yourself up a Golden Yeet.
Self-nominated.
Oh, well, so what we're going to do in this episode is to go through the categories that are available and some of the things that we might nominate. And then each category sort of runs a little differently. Some of them we will just put out some suggestions, and then some others can jump on the website and actually put their suggestions in, and we will take basically all the nominations, see which one get more votes, whatever, or more suggestions, more nominations, and then we will choose a winner either from those nominations or make it up like we
that's it.
Be good. And then there are some other categories where it will be purely done by listener vote, such as shooting meme of the year, episode title of the year. I think a couple of those we went.
Yep.
But there's a couple of categories that didn't make the cut this year, mostly because of COVID. And so we have replaced it with a few other categories that are COVID related that'll swap in and out this year. So let's kick it off. The first category is going to be Rifle Innovation of the Year. So if you remember, I think we might have this definition correct. Basically, any major component of a rifle. So we're talking barrel, we're talking chassis or stock, trigger, action, or cartridge.
Yep.
And anything within that sort of category fits Rifle Innovation of the Year. The idea is it's something that's been released since the last awards. So SHOT Show is probably about all the got released. But anyway, SHOT Show at the beginning of this year. So if there's something that listening at home, if you're thinking, I think that this particular item was really good and worthwhile checking out, then that's the sort of thing to nominate. So guys, have you got any thoughts on something that fits into that category? I think one that we might see nominated would be the signature edition of the Lithgow. I don't know if you guys have seen that. There's got the few little tweaks. It's like a refined, tweaked version of the Lithgow LA105. So there's a fluted bolt on it, and I think a different bolt handle. I'm sure there's some other differences that I'm missing, but I just, that's one. I happened to stumble across one today and went, that does look pretty good.
Cool.
So that could be that sort of thing would fit into this category. Anything else that you might think? It has been a bit of a slow year for innovation.
I've got some ideas for accessories because I think like a muzzle.
Just hold up.
Yep.
Or just relax.
Right.
All right. He's keen. Go back to your drink. Okay, we've got heaps of inspiration for that one. It hasn't been really. Yep. Oh, look, there's things like the 6mm arc. I reckon was announced this year.
PRC was that last year?
PRC's been around for a while.
Oh,
yeah,
I'm old.
For a little while. So there could be a few things there. I think we might find ourselves light on, but there's currently 15 people screaming at us going, what about this? So that jump on
let us know what they are, and then we'll discuss them.
Put them up on Facebook and Instagram. We'll put it all that out. But you can head to the website, precisionshootingpodcast.com, or the Impact Dynamics website will point you to the same place, and the podcast area on there. And nominate something for Rifle Innovation, because we are struggling for ideas of stuff that has come out this year. And this doesn't have to be within the precision world. It'll help, but it doesn't have to be. There are some other, I know there's some stuff from Chica that's around. There's a few other bits and pieces that have come out. I think Bagara has dropped a new rifle as well. So there's a few things that are sitting in there. Actually, there are some things that I would bring up. Some of the 22 stuff.
I was going to say the same.
Came out. Yeah, there's some really
Bagara
22.
Did that come out this year?
It did.
That seems to be a pretty solid little piece of kit.
And then the Curtis conversion to 22.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I think that's had some issues and bits and pieces, but that's out. So
it's a great concept.
Great concept. Even conceptually, that could win, because this is just about innovation. This doesn't necessarily mean about being the. I don't know. We're making up the rules as we go. So yeah,
Voodoo stuff was last year, wasn't it?
Voodoo's been around for
Voodoo's a while.
a few years, mate. Yeah.
Curtis is a really good concept, though.
Yep. Actually, it's a really fair call. Good. So there is some stuff for rifle innovation that's happened in the last year. Good. I'm glad someone's been thinking. All right, next category is the optical innovation of the year. So first one I'm going to nominate is a Strike Eagle, the 5 to 25 from Vortex, because
price point and what did that deliver?
Based on price point and the amount of back orders that have been kicking around for it, it has hit a niche in terms of that $1,200 or less dollar value. A lot of scope, a lot of elevation, zero stop at that price point. Now, there are some others that sort of, we can talk about the Arkans in there as well, or a similar sort of thing, but I think the Strike Eagle was probably the more prominent one of that. So that could be a consideration. Falcon just dropped a new scope as well that is sub $1,000 with 34mm tube and adjustable turrets and grid reticle, so first focal plane. So
the NX8, is that this year or was that last year?
That's
kind of be
no, that was last year. That was definitely last year, because they were on show at the Heat Stroke Open. I reckon actually they came up as a nomination last year. Yeah, okay. I'm pretty sure.
And was there did Vortex release a 1 to 10 power optic?
That was their Gen 3. The Gen 3 Razor.
I've got a feeling that might have been last year, but again, yes, we will. Whatever the nominations come in, we'll double check when things are announced and such. But for sure. Or we won't, and we'll just run with whatever we think.
Just pick what we think's right, because we hear and they're not.
That's it. So I'm not sure if there's anything else optical. I think one thing.
Like there's a rangefinder windy thingy jobby.
Oh yeah, the wind rangefinder, wind speed finder thing. Words definitely.
Yeah, words, wind related distance, something.
Haven't seen one yet. I'm waiting for someone to buy one.
Yeah, it's from TrigiCon, I'm pretty sure. Yep. So that would definitely be a contender. That's from an optical point of view, that is a big, potentially big. I don't want to say the word. It could adjust how we do things. Yep.
Yeah, well, it's one of those things that technology's been around for a while, right? Yes. It's not that it's new technology that someone just discovered.
Correct.
But it's the first time that it's been, to the best of my knowledge, put down in a consumer-friendly, somewhat cost-effective, you know, something that's within the reach of the average Joe, so to speak, rather than being military defense contracts, massive high-end, don't drop that box. It's worth $400,000 sort of territory.
Well and truly. Yeah, okay. Very good. Well, so that's optical. Anything that fits in their rangefinders, spotting scopes. One thing that did come out this year is the Viper eyepiece. So having a reticle in a bit of a cheaper scope than the Razor from the Vortex line, and so another thing that's useful. Anyway, kicking ideas around. There are all sorts of stuff that is floating about. All right. So, and then the other one, Andy has been sitting here salivating over, ready to discuss. Has been the accessory innovation of the year.
No, I've forgotten now. No, was the Chode this year or last year?
The Chode is not. Yeah, no, Chode's been around for a long time. Oh, you mean the
I'm just thinking about mine. All right.
We'll put a photo up on Instagram for people.
Tripods? That tripod potentially? No.
The tripod's been around for a number of years. Sorry.
There's the Gen 3. Is it Gen 3? Yeah, Gen 3 little bastard brakes.
Oh, yes. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then they're the ones with the
ports on the top.
Ports on the top.
You can basically threaded ports on the top so you can adjust the wind in, wide out. I'd be interested to see if that actually does anything. I'm sure it works in the first couple of times, but after the thing's been caked with 500 rounds of carbon.
Yeah, can you put anything back in?
Yeah.
And would you want to?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or, does it still have
Can
the
you
same...
feel the difference? Well, I'm very interested to see how they go. Yeah. It's an interesting concept because we've always talked. I remember Steve Hurt being on the live show talking about ensuring that brakes were symmetrical. Was a really critical factor. And obviously, these ones aren't.
But they're deliberately like that.
That's right. It's intentional
for tuning out other errors in the system.
Fascinating idea. So we will see how we go with that. I have thought of another category potential. I'm just going to write it on the bottom. Anyway, we will come back to that in time because I don't think it'll. What I've written is not relevant at all, Bronte. You could look at it and be like, that makes no sense, and that is correct. But that's hopefully enough to remind me. Anyway, so here we go. The accessory innovation of the year. What else has been out this year? So the precision measurement station from Hornady. You mentioned before, Andy, that that could be an option if that's useful to people. I've been liking the lightweight fortune cookie. Oh yeah. I shot the match with the other week, and that is definitely not the cause of why I did so poorly. It wasn't an excuse at all. It probably helped. So that has been useful, especially for what I thought was my back. But maybe paying some more attention. My back has problems, but the shoulders as well. Bronte, what are you looking at something that might be
just
relevant?
the measurement station thing.
Oh, okay. checking one of those out.
Catching up.
Yep. And anyway, all sorts of stuff could be in that accessory one. That's pretty wide open option.
So that would include, was it triggers?
I think triggers fit in rifle. I think we call anything that is like fundamental to the rifle, as in you couldn't operate it without effectively. So we'll say action, trigger, stock, /chassis, /barrel. Muzzle brakes fits in as accessory, I think, because it works with or without.
Swap, interchangeable.
So jelly bean part.
So I think that's where
anything on the bipod front or attachable bags.
Well, MDT did release some new bipods at the beginning of the year. So the taller ones, the Skypods. Yep. And apparently there's a Model 2 Skypod coming out that Danny told us on the Gear Night show. Yep. But haven't seen anything on that. So perhaps if they get that out before the Golden Yeets out, they might be just sneak in with a nomination there. Who knows? We'll see if we can get our hands on with one. That'd be good. So that's one. The next one, last year it was the podcast of the year. Oh, actually, just to reflect back, Rifle Innovation of the Year last year was the 6GT.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure. Correct me if we're wrong.
Sounds about right.
We'll go with that.
Probably should just look these things up. But the optical innovation of the year last year was Zero Compromise Optics.
Yeah.
I think we're pretty worthy contenders of that. Do you remember what the accessory innovation of the year was last year, gentlemen? It's a test because I haven't found it yet.
I do not.
Take a guess. What do you think it was? Oh, silence.
Yeah. No, you're going to have to edit that bit out.
Oh, here we go. It was actually the MDT Skypod last year. Here we go.
Yes.
Rifle Innovation of the Year. Oh, no, it wasn't the 6GT. It was the ACC chassis system from MDT. Nice. That's, fair.
A lot of people have gone that way.
Yeah, not wrong. They've become stupidly popular, which is excellent. Optical innovation definitely was Zero Compromise. And accessory innovation of the year was the MDT Skypod.
Yep.
There we go. All right, cool. So we'll see if they can go back to back this year. All right, moving on to our other categories. Last year we had Podcast of the Year taken out by VP Precision. we've talked about maybe opening this one up because there's only a limited amount of podcasts. I mean, there was a big influx last year, which is excellent, and most of them are stuck around. And we're thinking, though, that there's a lot more crossover between video and podcast and just social media type things. So what do we call that? Podcast/page/channel of the year? That sort of...
Social presence of the year?
So social presence of the year sounds way too formal for... No.
Righto.
Yeah. Good. I didn't want to go like Instagram influencer of the year.
Sorry.
Otherwise you'd win.
Yeah. I'm all over that.
Yeah, that's right. So, all right, well, we'll leave that. We'll decide on...
Media of the year.
Sorry?
Media of the year.
Yeah.
Like multimedia.
Social media of the year. So, anyway, all right, we'll get on to...
Podcast isn't social media.
Okay, all right. Well, I think you guys know what we mean. There'd be a few guys there. We'd put modern day sniper into, maybe impact shooting with Pete from South Africa. Andy Little gets a nomination because he's started an Instagram page.
Yeah, you can also find me on a few porn sites.
Yeah. Well, ever since when you're about to go into 2 weeks of lockdown, mate, we'll probably find you on a few more.
That's it.
Self-loaded. All right, good. All options available for that. We did say last year that the Precision Shooting Podcast was not eligible. We shall remain ineligible this year.
Otherwise, it's a certain win, isn't it? Really, it's just not fair.
Only because we can rig the voting. That's the only reason why it would be a certain win. So we'll alleviate that concern that we rigged it. And it would be anyone but us.
But we do have the rights to change any vote. Like make it up on the spot.
Beautiful, which we've done as well. Speaking of which, last year we've got this unusual category called the non-game changer of the year. Now this was because the word game changer was overused a lot, extensively.
I've noticed it coming up in a lot of scenarios.
Yeah,
like on just like media news.
Just the term has become.
It's all over the place now. Yeah,
this is true. So last year I think this was like trying to get the definition right last year, but it was a product that overpromised and underdelivered. I think was sort of.
Pretty sure Andy won that one, didn't he?
Well, Andy did. Yeah. Andy stepped in at the last minute, and we were almost going to award it between a monopod that goes on the back of a ticker.
Yeah, that's pretty crap.
And the Sierra Game Changers, which were just like polymer hunting projectiles.
Oh, you mean like all the other polymer hunting projectiles?
Exactly right.
There.
Yep. But these were green tips on all the calibers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that makes it easy then, so you can tell.
Yep.
Useful. So, but it wasn't just it was overpromised, but it was overhyped, and it was like it was going to set the world on fire. Maybe we should actually nominate that we can't be nominated for this one as well.
Yeah, I don't want to take out 2 years in a row.
Anyway, this is overpromised, underdelivered product that just didn't quite get. It could still be a good product. Like the Game Changers are still actually a good product, but they were just overhyped or just probably given a status a little bit beyond what they were. They were just another good option, but anyway, so that is the next category there. Then we've got the episode title of the year. Now this one, obviously, this is going to come down purely to votes. We will list them all up on the website. You'll be able to go drop down menu, choose your favorite episode title of the year. Last year it was Servo Burgers, which was definitely, I think it actually like smashed the votes. So. And of course, probably the favourite award of them last year was the shooting meme of the year.
Yep.
Which I reckon was an ARS win, American Rifle Series. What does she shoot? 308. Memes never work on podcasts. What's your win? Hold at 800 yards. Oh, left edge. Your foster parents are dead. Anyway, it was a Terminator-related meme. Go look it up. It's much better than when I say it. And still waiting for them to collect their prize money that they asked for. Yeah. So said it was available at any PRS Australia prize match, PRS match in Australia in person. They could get it. So haven't told them how much it isn't yet. But anyway, so we also hopefully have a new challenger in that category. There's been some good memes floating around, and then of course the Australian Rifle Series exclusive. I've been putting some good stuff out there, so hopefully we see one from them that might take it out. But we will grab all the memes that are seemingly relevant and get you guys nominate which ones they are, and then we will go on a combination of the general public vote as well as which one makes you whoever's in the room giggle the most on the night. So
seems legitimate.
Yeah, I think we will do that. Now we had a
giggle radar,
the giggleometer,
chuckle factor.
Let's go with chuckle factor.
Gig day, gig day.
No, stop, Andy. Just stop. All right, so we had a couple of other categories last year. The guest of the year,
COVID.
Yeah, well, COVID sort of crushed that. We haven't really we've had a couple of guests, but we've only had a couple of guests, and it's sort of a bit unfair to put them heads to head with each other. And so we're going to put that on hold, or we'll just put that aside at the moment. Last year, Travi won. Well done, Travi. And PRS Match of the Year, which, is probably an even split between all the ones that didn't happen. We could have gone with like Match of the Year being like the Monster Team Match, which was probably a very solid contender. Steel Slam, Run and Gun, but don't think anyone shot all of them or shot a couple of them to compare them. Not that it's about comparison, but there's probably not enough there. So we'll just say that those are the best matches of the year. I'm gonna say the Monster Team Match was the best of the year. Even though I didn't get to, I just like the idea of the team match. I think it's great. So
and there was still the Darwin one as well.
Oh yes, there was a Darwin one. Yeah, a bit smaller, which is why I forgot. Sorry, Butters, because no one could get to it. So, that's So we won't have that as a category. There were some good matches on. Made the most of what we could do, and we will just run with some other options. So we think we've come up with a couple of categories. We're going to go with these are named well. The best COVID outcome shooting related that has happened. So have you guys got some ideas of this? Oh, I'll make a nomination, which was the Modern Day Rifleman Virtual Summit. Actually, we probably should spend some time on the Modern Day Rifleman Summit about it, and let's do that. And we'll do that next episode. Stay tuned. There's a teaser. So I think that we will get onto the Modern Day Rifleman Summit next episode. We're way behind it, but anyway, there's some cool stuff, and I just wanted to mention some of that stuff. The other things that may have come out of COVID, I think the Monster Team Match was a really good option. So that's still a contender in this category. I think it probably would have happened either way, but it was let's credit it to some time and some creativity with that sort of thing. Anything else you've seen, Andy?
Probably the people being able to set up home mock ranges, or like the paper targets, or the online competitions where they'll shoot a given size paper target and then
Team Delta Tactical.
That's the one.
Did some of that, which is good and encouraging to see. Some of that.
So I think just a lot more online information I think has been put out there, which is great.
Yep. Unfortunately for everyone, I've spent a lot of time in front of the camera talking into whoever's watching. So I'm not sure that goes into that might be for the next category, but it was definitely an outcome of COVID. But we'll get on to the next category in a moment.
It's all a matter of perspective.
Yeah, exactly right. And editing, but it was all live. So
magical thing. Yeah.
So and this could be, I think one of the things that will be interesting to hear the nominations for in this category is some of the personal stories. About some of the individuals, like, oh, look, I implemented this dry fire, regime for the 8 weeks I was locked down, and I end up then going to the range and doing X. Joel, who won the Steel Slam, I have no idea if he did some dry firing and stuff during COVID, but he shot. Yep. He came out of that period doing really, really well. So maybe he spent some time during that consciously doing stuff. Don't know. But those are the sort of stories I'd love to hear about of people. What I've also noticed is guys have gone, you know what, COVID's happened. They've rethought what they're doing, with their life and their hobbies and bits and pieces, and they've gone, all right, I'm going to get into this PRS style, long range shooting, that all that sort of stuff. And they've done the research, watched some videos, done the virtual summit and those sort of things, and then made some decisions and actually are working towards shooting next year. That is honestly a nomination, because while it may not go to a single person for that, that as a concept could definitely win, because we have to try and get something out of COVID.
Yeah, I mean, I guess a lot of people have been prepping up their gear, like getting custom rifles built, swapping out barrels, just sorting out their gear before the next season kicks off.
Yeah, so if you've done something like that, let us know, because it's a category for best COVID outcome. Yeah, you've been flat out of work, Bronte, anyway, so that hasn't really changed a whole lot in that regard.
Just accelerated things.
Oh, very good. Speaking of accelerating things, the other category we've got, just to stay on the positive note, is worst COVID outcome. And
you can always find the bright side of life.
Okay? Yeah, and then we look on the other side, and that makes this category, because we need one more. So perhaps Impact Dynamics Live lives in that. I'm going to nominate that now, actually. All sorts of things could be there. Let's keep it lighthearted, I think, would be fun. Let's not dwell on all the
for funniness,
negative things, but let's make this some things that. I mean, obviously, PRS was cancelled. There's one bad thing. But maybe. We tweak the name of this, the worst / bad things that there's a. Let's change the name. Let's talk about.
I think for a lot of people, the worst thing about it is they had to spend more money on a new PRS gun.
I was just going to say, I'm thinking of we should tweak this to the silver lining. The bad things happen, but these are the things that worked all right. Saves a stack of money not traveling the country to go to PRS matches. Yep. But then you're right, they probably spent it all on gear anyway.
Actually, you're true. I've been able to save up quite a lot of annual leave because I just haven't used it this year.
That's a fair point. All right, let's change this to silver linings. Not best outcomes of I'm renaming the categories if we're all right with you guys. Yeah, the first one's going to be the best innovation around COVID. So the best, new show that started, or some guys started a podcast, or whatever the story may be there, or a product was developed because people had time to do it. Anything like that. Then this one is the silver linings of COVID, so more of the personal level of, this happened and was bad. I lost my job, but then I managed to get a job in the shooting industry because things have got busy because everyone spent their money on gear instead of travel. Anything like that. So I'm just going to rename them in the sheet. That keeps it more positive. Let's run with that. That's not how you spell innovative, but that's fine. So anyway, there's our categories. Categories. Anything else? Do you guys want to last minute throw an extra category? The one that I did, I don't know where to put this, but one of the big things that came out this year, and perhaps with some people didn't quite get as much attention as maybe it should, because there wasn't a lot of that at matches discussion type thing, was the research that had been happening at Short Action Customs over the last couple of years on seating depth.
All right.
Yeah, and to be honest, I was aware of it, but I didn't spend the time digesting it because reading's not necessarily my forte. But listening to a podcast on the virtual summit about it with Mark from Short Action Customs, that's where I digested it. And he was talking about her changing focus in load development and really looking for seating depth first rather than as a tweaking option, and utilising data, 2 years of research and a lot of rounds down range with lots of different shooters and lots of different guns and lots of different cartridges, and discussions with manufacturers like Hornady and such of ammunition and guns and cartridges. I guess the point was there is something to it. Rather than it being definitive, there was something to it, and that was probably my favourite session out of the virtual summit. Well, we've got a bit of time. Let's talk about that virtual summit. The one with Mark from Short Action Customs to me was really good, and the one with Jacob Bynum from Rifles Only was phenomenal. I mean, that guy's been on the cutting edge of development for years and years and years and years. Yeah, definitely worthwhile listening to. I think, yeah. And you haven't listened to him yet, but you're planning to do that on the plane and in quarantine.
Yes, so I'm going to have 2 weeks of lonely time.
Yeah.
So That's going to be my podcast catch-up time.
Yeah, no problems.
Pretty sure that was the episode name.
They call that a super spreader event.
Spreading something.
Right.
But I've always viewed seating depth as a tweaking thing that you do at the end. And that's
What we all
Most
did.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I guess it probably raised an interesting question because obviously with seating depth, that changes in effect as the barrel wears as far as what your jump is. And I guess it's an interesting concept whether you go away every 500 rounds, you rework your load based on the fact that your barrels,
Yep.
your throat's chewed out X amount.
So, I think it was it was wonderful to hear that. But I was going to ask you about which of the sessions you're looking forward to listening to the most. But you don't have a list there, so that will make it very difficult.
Yep.
Let's see if we can find one. Yeah, obviously when we did the last show, it was partway through, but I think some of those they saved some of the best to last. Not there was good people all the way through, but I think yes, certainly it was a very strong finish. And so here's some of the lists on day 4: Ryan Kleckner, Nick Vitalbo, Sean Utley, Tony Powell's Kill. I did listen to Tony's. That was good. And Ian Harrison. There was some really good ones in there. Day 3, Donnie Vincent. I'm going to struggle with names. Jim C. Jim C was interesting. I mean, Jim C is always an interesting character to speak with. Had the fortune to meet him when we were over there, and but he certainly put some ideas forward, which was excellent. So there was some good stuff. Any names jump out at you, Andy, that you were looking forward to listening to when you sit down and do so?
not massively jumping out, but I'm sure a couple that I have looked at on the socials before was definitely Phil Vallejo. He's boosted right up there quite lately.
Yeah, well, Phil is sort of a host of it, so he's asking the questions through it. So, I'm going to suggest if you haven't caught up with it and the couple $100 you have to pay for it, I highly recommend it. Kyle Lamb is definitely worth checking out. As I said, Jacob Bynum. And I think Regina does a very good option. Jim C and Mark from Short Action Customs. I think there are plenty there. By the way, there's no particularly bad ones, but I thought those were the ones that stood out to me, and I didn't listen to them all. I will say so. I'm sure I missed some greatness, but yeah, that will be excellent. So. Seating depth is something that we may touch on because our next episode is going to be all about reloading. And now that we've got the master of reloading setups here, who knows everything about lights and power, you were going to comment, and then I clarified, and you went, "Oh yeah, no, I do know everything about that." Fair enough.
Well, wait. And what are they called? Strain gauges, or what was the other one?
No, that's your 2 weeks in isolation, mate. You can do whatever you like in those 2 weeks. Just get stuff delivered to the hotel, whatever you're into. But don't bring Bronte into it unless you're going to zoom in to him.
Yeah, I'm good, thanks.
Oh, very good. Well, last thing I want to say is that's what's coming up in the next episode. We're going to get into some of that sort of stuff. But I have been reading a book that my dad put together about my grandpa, who was a wing commander
nice.
during World War II, I believe. At that stage, he was the youngest wing commander. And, it's him basically narrating many years ago, writing down all his escapades of being a pilot in World War II. And amazing, he was a hobbyist pilot when he was young. And then when the war kicked in, he's like, all right, well, I'll go and fly and, shoot some Germans, basically. And they said, no, you've had too many hours. Because one of the things that happened in the lead up, they were trying to get people upskilled. So the Army or Air Force were paying for recreational flyers to fly. So he had about 300 hours in the air free in the lead up. And then when they got to actually war happening, he, nominated, what's the word? He's enrolled and enlisted. Yeah, that's the word. I'll get there eventually. And they said, oh, no, you've had heaps of experience. You're off to train people. And anyway, went off and trained people, and then then ended up going and being in a few different theatres. And I think he and his wingman, whatever his crew, his navigator, they were the only crew to have left a squadron, to go on to retire. Basically, that there was an X amount you did, and then after that you would be done. And then they went back after a period of time. They just like, no, we got to go back. We got to go keep them going. And they were the only crew to actually ever survive long enough to do that.
Yeah, right.
And he has some incredible amount of hours in the air. So a fascinating little book that Dad's put together. So, yeah, I might do a video or something on it. It's a very very interesting story, and I've never heard these stories in this depth. I didn't know him very well. He lived in England, and so it was very very interesting to hear this basically from his, and then my dad's put these little sort of snippets of stories he remembers, either adding to something or just an additional sort of context of when he was in Malta or based out of Malta. That these are 2 or 3 stories that he didn't write down, but Dad remembers them being talked about. So yeah, some very very fascinating things, and apparently had a very interesting relationship with rum.
Thanks for listening to the Precision Shooting Podcast. To continue the discussion, check out our Facebook page. And for more information, head to our website, www.precisionshootingpodcast.com.au. This episode was brought to you by Impact Dynamics.